everybody. Welcome to another edition of the NBA Slate Starter podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Thursday's three-game NBA DFS slate. This slate, I thought I had just everything figured out. I have all the LaMelo Ball in all the land, 80% plus on every site. I have an insane amount of, what's his name? Wagner, your Michigan boy, who I have 100% of. 100% of my lineups on FanDuel have this cat at 3,500. He almost got 30, which was great. But I was taking some egregiously large stands. I know it's an 11-game slate, but I was having fun. I was in my own feelings. Ryan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I could be always doing better. Kevin Porter Jr. had other plans tonight.
Yeah.
Very, very disappointing performance. Really ruined some magical lineups that I had in some great contests. Jaylen Brown really carried those lineups along with Julius Randle as that game goes to double overtime. And for those who believe in game stacking, that was the nuts as there was four guys who had above 50 points in that game. So, but here we are, 11-game slate. It was nice to get a nice big slate under you, wear off that late swap rust over and over again. That's what 11-game slates can do to you. Ready to just bounce back tomorrow night and move forward to a 3-game slate.
So I had 5% of that Wagner cat on FanDuel, and then all of a sudden he's starting. There was no Jalen Suggs starting, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, my shooting guard slot is wide open, and I jammed 100%, followed by this incredible decision to, what was it? Oh, yeah, I couldn't even get Jalen Suggs back into lineups at any point in time, and that actually ended up working out really well, but I will say the key to the evening, it looks like we're coming to you guys right now, 11 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 p.m. out here on the West Coast. Looks like it's going to be this double overtime thriller that existed. The Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, Jaylen Brown decided to make like a near half quarter to cut it to 1 point lead, and then they end up taking it to overtime. Then it's double overtime. Jaylen Brown, apparently COVID's not a thing.
Yeah, they said they were. I rostered him in a handful of my lineups. I was happy to get some of him in for sure. They said they were going to monitor his minutes situation. They're professional athletes. I think he was ready to go, and that was a thriller. I've watched a lot of basketball, but getting the Knicks on national TV and that electric crowd, it's been a long time, and I hope the Knicks are good this year.
I hope they are too. And by the way, that was a joke. I hope everybody can understand where I'm coming from there. Again, for me, it's just like you have one of the slowest paced games, period. And it looks like 4 of the top 5 fantasy point scorers right now, Evan Fournier, Robert Williams, Jaylen Brown, and Julius Randle are all in that game. So looking like you're going to need some pieces of it, which is so weird. But hey, there is one thing that a friend of mine once told me, and that is that death, taxes, and somebody has a game stack of it. And I think that that's really the best way to explain DFS of all kinds, not just NBA DFS. So be ready for such things like that. But what you need to do right now for us, for Ryan and myself, is hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live, as well as the notification bell. That way you can just click on these videos when they pop up on your feed. But I'm looking forward to this 3-gamer. Again, I'm glad that Jaylen Brown's feeling well. I'm glad he went out and played some good basketball. I hate that I only had 6% of him on FanDuel because he was 3%. And I was like, oh, well, he's another guy with a ceiling we can bring in. But the Garden apparently is a thing. You just brought that up. But hey, Ryan, are you ready to ride, my dude?
Let's ride.
Oh, I love hearing that. Let's go. Dude, this whole week, it's just been sentimental. It's like 2020 all over again. Not that anybody wants to relive that. Here we go. Luka Doncic. 10,600, Dallas at Atlanta. That's going to be an interesting game here to start off the slate. We've only got 3. So Dallas and Atlanta both making their debuts. Milwaukee, we saw play already. Miami making their debut. They're at 5 o'clock out here on the West Coast. Again, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. And then the Clippers making their debut against Golden State. Golden State was just having a cup of tea out here in LA after beating up on the Lakers. So we're going to have a couple of recency bias narratives that we've got to kind of figure out what to do with. And then we've got studs like Luka Doncic, 10,600 at the top of the point guard position. He is the favorite to win MVP on just about every sports book around the entire industry right now. I find that to be a little astounding, but We saw him go nuclear in that Clippers series. I mean, he had 4 or 5. I mean, what is it? Yeah, 3 70-plus fantasy point outputs. That's the kind of stuff he's going to do. We saw him, was it Slovenia he played for in the Olympics this year?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I just needed a fact check there. Slovenia, Luka Doncic, which is completely insane. And I didn't know a single other player who played for that team. Again, playing NBA DFS Olympics, that's when you've really made it in life. Then you got Steph Curry, $10,000 coming off of a tough matchup against the Lakers that he didn't really play that well, but he ended up having a triple-double. Pretty insane, but now he's up to 10K there. And then Trae Young, 9,100. I'm going to throw Kyle Lowry in there too, making his Miami debut. Interesting to see him now with the Sixers, now with Toronto, but with Miami, 8K plus. There's 4 guards up there. What are you looking at doing at point guard?
Point guard's going to be very interesting tomorrow. It's tough not to love Steph Curry getting a $1,000 discount off of Luka Doncic. I know it's Luka. He's 11K over there on FanDuel, point guard, shooting guard eligible. I'm just going to ride Steph Curry till Klay Thompson comes back. Steph got a triple-double last time, backdoored his way there. But I think Steph Curry is going to have a much better shooting day against the Clippers. I don't expect Reggie Jackson to slow him down whatsoever. I prefer Steph Curry quite a bit tomorrow. I expect to have him in quite a bit of my rosters. I think I'll still have Luka Doncic for sure, but just I'm not as high tomorrow on him like I am Steph coming back for Steph having a game under his belt. Luka coming back against Atlanta. We'll see how that goes. Luka and Trae Young obviously tied together forever after that trade, and Trae Young is the first out of the two to make the conference finals. So go figure. Trae Young also $9,600. That is a little too expensive for my liking on FanDuel. We'll see how that ends up working out for the Hawks tomorrow. I mean, they were the surprise team, I think, in the NBA to make the conference finals. I think the Suns, once they were in the playoffs, got past the Lakers. People were fine, but the Hawks getting past the Sixers and leading to the whole locker room fiasco of Ben Simmons was quite shocking. I expect Jordan Poole to be very popular yet again, and rightfully so. He would have had an even better fantasy output if he didn't have to leave the game for a little while. And I don't believe he closed. I'm trying to backtrack the rotation at the end, and because of that injury he had, I have to. I'm trying to think if he was in the closing.
I'll let you
rotation.
know. Keep going.
So yeah, coming in at $5,200 and $5,500 on FanDuel and DraftKings respectively. A little price increase, right? Deserved. So we'll see how that works out. Eric Bledsoe back in a Clippers uniform, $4,500. He pisses people off when we have to roster him, but that's just the Canadian. That's just Eric Bledsoe in the past. Ever since he left Milwaukee, New Orleans was disappointing. He never showed up in the playoffs for Milwaukee. It's been a long time since we've had successful DFS outcomes in a string for Eric Bledsoe. It's as crazy as it sounds. There's no Kawhi Leonard. Paul George is going to have to put on a cape for this Clippers team. Is Bledsoe the second option on this offensive lineup for the Clippers, Eric? You think it's him or Reggie Jackson?
I swear to God. So I didn't know that he played for the Clippers until we started prepping this. I forgot that happened. Again, that's kind of what happened yesterday. I started putting these together. I saw the Charles Barkley video. So somebody had referred me to that. And I saw that he had to guess which team players played for. And Eric Bledsoe was a guy that I remember that trade happened, or that he ended up leaving and going to the Clippers. Just kind of erased from my mind in the middle of, I don't know, MLB, NFL, PGA, everything else here at Awesemo. And NBA is my baby. So it's kind of nice to be back. I tried to defend Eric Bledsoe quite a bit last year. I think you and I tried to make him a thing. He was just never really a thing. And, you know, we've seen it in the past. I just don't know. 4,500 on FanDuel is just so low. I mean, that's just a low number to be looking at for him there. 6K on DraftKings, maybe a little easier to go away from. So I'm not necessarily sure what to do with him here yet, but my guess is you could probably just find a way, just like everybody else, play the salary-based game. And if you want exposure, get it on FanDuel, avoid it on DraftKings. And I think that's kind of a fair way to go about living your life. Eric Bledsoe's $20. He's the third most expensive player on Yahoo. So probably a stay away there too. Just play him on FanDuel and move on with your day.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. Keep in mind that they do expect Drew Holiday to play tomorrow in the point guard spot. I like his price tag on DraftKings quite a bit, $6,500. I prefer that to Kyle Lowry. I do prefer those $700 savings to Kyle Lowry. It's going to be interesting to see how Kyle Lowry fits in this new Miami Heat offense. I do expect him not to play the Goran Dragic role fully. I do think Kyle Lowry is going to be way more of a facilitator on this team than Goran Dragic was. And it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in with the guys of like Jimmy Butler, Bam. Is he going to be able to find open looks for Duncan Robinson? Shout out to Michigan. And I gotta,
every damn day.
Tyler Hero needs to back up his pretty preseason famous quote saying that he belongs.
He's as good as everybody.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's.
What was the exact quote? I'm sorry to cut you off there.
He said he deserves to be in the same conversation as guys like John Moran and Luka Doncic.
Yeah,
some other players.
You're terrible. Keep going.
Yeah, and Tyler Hero is essentially I said he's a South Beach version of Kevin Knox. Maybe that's being a little too harsh. I think he's a little better than that, but he was amazing in the preseason. I don't know how he's gonna show up. I've always been anti Tyler Hero after the bubble. Even in the bubble, I just didn't want to buy it. It cost me.
How about after Jack Harlow makes a song about him?
Yo, Jack Harlow's fire. Don't hit on Jack Harlow.
Okay, Jack Harlow I like a lot more than Tyler Hero. I'm not gonna lie.
I think we can agree on that. Jack Harlow got some
bangers for sure. This is why we're besties, Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Harlow got some bangers for sure.
Bangers.
Yeah, so the Tyler Hero song kind of questionable, but good beat. But
good beat. That's it.
I guess we're the DFS version of Tyler Hero and Drewski. But moving on. Outside of that, we got to talk about Reggie Jackson and point guard, small forward eligible Justice Winslow on DraftKings. Justice Winslow comes in at $3,400. I'm very excited to see what his role looks like on this Clippers team. Someone who had showed some promising highlights in Miami, but fizzled out due to injury. Never got a break in Memphis. And now he's on a Clippers team where he's going to be in the rotation. And we saw what cheap players can do on a short slate like the other night. We saw sub 4K players. If you mix and match, Patty Mills was the guy on opening night, along with Nemanja Bjelica. Is it going to be Justice Winslow? I'm a big fan of Justice Winslow just because I feel like he can handle the ball, can facilitate, and get to the basket. I just don't know what that rotation run looks like for the Clippers team.
Yeah, he's 3,400 on DraftKings. I mean, that's the only spot where you're playing him at point guard, right?
I think, I wouldn't just keep him at the point guard spot just because he has small forward eligible. On a short slate like that, I do like to see what a lineup would look like with Justice Winslow at the small forward spot. It might make your lineup unique with some serious upside. So I never want to be narrow-minded in the sense of like if he has multi-position eligibility, I just want to pick one of them. I want to see what I could feel out with him in the small forward position as well.
Yeah, and small forward's interesting on this slate, especially because on DraftKings, where you're looking at playing maybe him at point guard, you've got Paul George, who's 9,700. You have 8,300 Jimmy Butler. You have 7,300 Chris Middleton. You've got options like, Finney Smith, Hunter. Finney Smith plays infinity minutes for this Dallas team every single year. And Terrence Mann, who just got paid the bag, so 4,500 for him as well. That'll be an interesting thing. You gave Reggie Bullock a shout out. He's 4,500 for Dallas now. He plays for Dallas. That's exciting. Point guard, for me, the one guy I'm interested to hear your thoughts on, because again, you're very good at this. I'm okay at this. Delon Wright is $7K on DraftKings. I don't think he's really playable over there, but he's $13 on Yahoo at point guard only. And then Delon Wright is $4,600. $4,600 on FanDuel. What are you doing with him tomorrow?
It's tough for me to go with Delon Wright. New team, new rotation. Playing a former team, actually. I do prefer on the other side. You said he is $4,600 over there on FanDuel. I do think $4,000 Jalen Brunson might be a better option than Delon Wright, just because you get a little bit of savings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel. But I don't mind it. It's a short slate. In a short slate, it's really hard for me not to be like, if he's going to get a rotation run, a significant rotation run, like north of like 12 minutes, I will have some interest in a guy like that. And just to get a little different, as we saw, like the other night, Pat Connaughton came in super low owned. Obviously, he got rotation run, and he was just hyper efficient. Well, I don't know, it was like 2.5 fantasy points per minute. It felt like he put up, but
Yeah,
that's all you need. Pretty much the winning lineup was him and Bielitsa, and the rest of it was pretty chalky.
and that's the way these short slates are going to be. And we have people coming in the comment section saying, "Oh, well, you guys are wrong sometimes about stuff." And no offense, I know we're going to be wrong about stuff.
We probably will be more wrong than right.
Exactly, but we want to be Delon Wright is what we want to be. We want to be Delon Wright.
The goal is to be less wrong than everyone else.
Exactly, or embracing volatility, because you understand that sometimes you're going to have 3 or 4 losing days, and then you have the day that you bank. You make way more money than what you put in the first 3 days, and it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, and just you got to embrace the swings. Obviously, day in and day out, we strive to be perfect. Obviously, if we were perfect every day, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast. We'd probably be in some other country, just sipping on some fine wine. But
we might anyway, Ryan. That's how we do. But Miami, what's up? That's not another country. But
yeah, no, I mean, it's early parts of DFS, and we got to be able to take some stands. Obviously, like what you did worked out for you with Franz Wagner. Mm-hmm. Also, make some decision points that are not that easy because we just don't know. And when there's uncertainty, that's when we should be able to take advantage against the field.
And that's what it is early NBA season. Before we have data, before we know what these rotations are going to look like, we want to make informed decisions based on stuff we know and stuff, because we've been doing this for 6-7 years together. We've been talking NBA specifically forever. We've been doing this podcast for, just over a year now, or just at a year. I guess it's like just the NBA season. Everything bleeds together now here at this point. Why don't we jump to shooting guard? How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So on DraftKings, Victor Oladipo's out, obviously, with Miami. So 6,400 is the most expensive shooting guard and I say this a lot, but you're punting it by default. You're punting a position by default. Andrew Wiggins is $25 on Yahoo, so he at least exists on that upper echelon there. And then Luka Doncic, for whatever reason, has shooting guard eligibility at $11K, as does Paul George, as does Jimmy Butler, as does Chris Middleton. Oh, man, so on and so forth. Everybody is eligible at shooting guard. You get a shooting guard on FanDuel. So there's that. Moving our way down, but Kevin Hoarder, 6,200. Bogdanovich, 6,100. I don't think either are going to project out. What was that? Neither are going to project out very well. But, I mean, for tournaments, this is a 3-game slate. If I made you pick Kevin Hoarder at 6,200 or Bogdanovich, who I believe we saw in Miami at his birthday party, if I do remember correctly. We 100% did. He was having a good time, let me tell you. Bogdanovich, 6,100. Who would you rather take a tournament dart on?
Yeah, he was having a good time. Not as a good time as Antonio Brown, but
oh my God. Let's relive the days. That was literally like 3 months ago. It's absurd.
Yeah, that was a good night. Shout out to FanDuel for showing us a good time. But
man, love them. But this is Yahoo sponsored, and we love Yahoo.
Yeah, no, if you guys want to play a site with less management fees, Yahoo is the spot. And if you don't like
making money,
yeah, and if you don't like multi-position eligibility, I don't blame you. And Yahoo has stuck to their roots. They do not have MPE, and it's a different puzzle. It really makes your mind really think differently. And I spent a lot of time today on this 11-game slate on like how I initially approached FanDuel in the years past. You look at my position, like really narrowing it down where you really can't, you got to really open up your player pool a little bit more with MPE just because it changes things up so much. Mm-hmm. While with no MPE, you can really narrow it down and make easier decision points. MPE really makes those decision points a little more
MPE difficult. Being multi-positional eligibility for the people joining. Here we go.
Yeah, I may have invented a abbreviation. I'm just kidding. But Bogdanovich, 6,200. I'm very a true believer in Bogdanovich.
Me too.
I love that price tag at $6,200. I like saving off of that from Wiggins, even potentially saving a little bit off of Chris Middleton. And I think Bogdanovich in the second year in this offense, he was injured last year. He showed some great promising games in the playoffs. I think he's ready to take that next step forward, along with Trae Young, be that second option on this offense. And I'm really looking forward to how that pans out. I think he might not be very popular tomorrow, so it's going to be nice to potentially get him at an ownership discount. And I think that price tag, when it's all said and done throughout the season, I think it's going to hover around the mid sevens. That's how I just want to be early on a guy like him. But it's going to be tough when Jordan Poole also has shooting guard eligibility, and he's going to come in with quite a bit of ownership, like I mentioned, who also has point guard eligibility as well. But spending down, if you don't like Bogdanovich, Tim Hardaway Jr. is someone who has an upside, shooting guard, small forward eligible on FanDuel, $5,000. That's not terrible. Grayson Allen, I think, might be a little overowned after a strong opening performance, down at $4,100. But another guy on FanDuel who has shooting guard, small forward eligibility, there's no Kawhi Leonard on this Clippers team. People might have forgotten that he is going to be out for all of this year after tearing his ACL against the Jazz in the second round. I'm going to miss Kawhi Leonard. I just think when he dominates the game, it is the most silent assassin domination that I've ever seen. But I think Luke Canard should be pressed in a role to potentially get more minutes. $3,600. He was in Ty Lue's doghouse for a long time, but he did crack the rotation in the conference finals here and there. Eric, do you think Luke Canard is someone that we should be targeting tomorrow at $3,600?
This guy is so hard. I mean, he's 3,300 over on DK. I think you have to be taking some shots. I mean, Terrence Mann gets paid, and I always have like this moral conundrum because last year Luke Kennard got paid an egregious amount of money, but it didn't result in any regular season production from time to time. I mean, there were those random spike weeks. I know that they had COVID stuff that happened where they were really shorthanded for a hot second, and Luke Kennard was awesome during that spurt. He was awesome at times when he got extended run later in the season. He was great when, he's just a knockdown shooter, and he can be that. We saw some times when he was able to be a little bit of a bucket towards the end of his Detroit days. I think that's what got him paid to begin with. 3,300, I think the price tag, there's Adam Scherer talked a little bit about Bielitsa the other night where he's like, I don't know what the downside is when you talk about a guy that nobody's really going to roster. He's super cheap. He was 4,100, I guess, for that. This is even cheaper than that. And I think other people are going to want to play Terrence Mann. They're going to want to play Eric Bledsoe. They're going to want to play Reggie Jackson. They're going to want to play other pieces of this team thinking that they're it. But none of them have the cheap price tags of Justice Winslow and Luke Kennard, 3,400, 3,300. And you and I always try to build more towards the stars and scrubs approach. We haven't even talked about Giannis. He's on this slate. Obviously, everybody's going to want to get to him. Everybody's going to want to get to Luka Doncic and Steph Curry. You said you preferred Steph. I probably prefer Luka going up against Atlanta and this Trae Young narrative that he has back and forth with him. But we have a lot of studs that we want to pay up for. Why not take shots on some of these cheap guys, be overweight to them, and just, you're elevating your floor so much by taking guys who are projecting for 50, 55 points right out of the gate.
For sure. And look, the other side of it is we can get burned too. Look at what happened with Bruce Brown Jr. the other night. That's going to happen early in the season. It's just going to happen. And we just got to potentially put ourselves in a position where it doesn't happen to us as much. It's just going to happen. It's just the nature of the game of playing NBA DFS early on in the regular season when we don't have the greatest of insight on what rotations look like. Give it a couple weeks and boom, those Bruce Brown Jr. things, those decision points, we won't be making those decisions and those mistakes going forward. So we'll see how that ends up going. Looking at other guys at the shooting guard spot over there that to spend down, you mentioned I got Dorian Finney-Smith, who has shooting guard eligibility. But another guy who's on a new team, Reggie Bullock, someone who has a 3-point bonus. He's $4,000 on FanDuel, a new guy entering a rotation. So we'll see how that ends up going over there. But how do you feel about, we talked about Tyler Hero, $4,900 Tyler Hero over there on FanDuel. Is that someone that we should make a priority after we just ripped him a new one?
Yeah, no, we shouldn't. Kyle Lowry's now there, right? Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Miami's a weird one for me. Like, this entire team is really, really hard to get a gauge, and this is a terrible matchup. I mean, Milwaukee's going to play up in pace, and, it's whatever. But Duncan Robinson, definitely somebody who's out there chucking three-pointers. He got paid as well. Somebody that's just out there to chuck. He does it, I think, a little better than Tyler Hero does. I'm okay with it. Like, I think I'm okay with it. Kyle Lowry just really freaks me out a little bit. I don't know what this is going to completely be. But Tyler Hero, he's cheap enough there at 4,900. I think he probably ends up getting steamed up quite a bit, but I think I want to probably do other things if he's going to be the popular one. He's $16 at the shooting guard position, and it's garbage on Yahoo. You have Wiggins, Bogdanovich, Bledsoe, Hardaway, and then Hero at 16. There's that. And then Terrence Mann at $13, and Jordan Poole is going to be infinity percent owned at $13 there. So maybe he's a good tournament pivot there, but I don't see myself wanting to get to a ton of him.
I feel that. And I think an excellent pivot off of him is someone who was hurt all of last year and someone who I think is extremely offensively talented is Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is
I love that call.
Cam Reddish is an absolute bucket. He's not going to project all that great on projection sites, I don't think, just because of people are not sure what that rotation is going to look like as much. So Cam Reddish is someone I want to be early on as well. I'm going to be aggressively over the field on him potentially. And I think he should be due for a breakout. And I think there might be some ability to showcase him just because Cam Reddish has a trade value. He's like an asset for them where if they want to upgrade that position, they could use him kind of early on in the season to showcase him potentially. Reddish checks in the mid fours over there on FanDuel. I believe he's in the low threes over there on DraftKings. High threes, 3,900 shooting guard, small forward eligibility. It's going to come down to this. We know what the studs are going to do. Guys like Luka, Paul George, Giannis. Yep. But finding the ability to mix and match these scrubs, like we're talking about some serious low price scrubs. We want to have the ability to fit two of those guys in, and if two of those guys go off, we saw what Anthony Davis, LeBron did. You needed both of them the other night, along with those other scrubs. So we'll see how that ends up panning out tomorrow night.
All righty. Well, let's jump over to small forward here, and then we'll talk about Yahoo. Our crew, absolutely love them, but small forward here. Man, we have only you and I could go 40 minutes on a 3-gamer, but hey, this is also us. NBA is our baby, and this is day 3 of it. I mean, there's so much to talk about, and to get Luka Doncic, to get Giannis again, to get Miami for the first time, to get the Clippers for the first time. So much good stuff to talk about, but at the top end is small forward. Let's start on FanDuel here for this one. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11-3 there. Paul George, shooting guard, small forward at 9,900. No Kawhi there. We know what that looks like. Paul George going to be an interesting option to pay up for. Jimmy Butler with this Miami team. You add Kyle Lowry into the fray. You get rid of Goran Dragic. I definitely think Kyle Lowry matters a lot more in terms of usage, but Jimmy Butler still, there's going to be a ceiling there and somebody that can randomly get there in so many different ways, especially on FanDuel. Steals, blocks, upside, definitely there. And Chris Middleton, 7,800. Small forward is actually small. What am I saying? Small forward is a lot better there. I think it's a decent enough spot there. Looking at DraftKings, you have Paul George, 9,700, Jimmy Butler, 8,300, Chris Middleton, 7,300. How are you kind of differentiating between those three on this slate?
Yeah, Giannis definitely sticks out, obviously up top. No denying that. But Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard. I think if Paul George plays his season out healthy, he should be a 10K plus player for a lot of it. There was times when he was in OKC, he was that type of player when he finished third in MVP voting. And I think Paul George has that in his bag. He was sensational after Kawhi Leonard got hurt. He almost single-handedly brought him back in that series against the Suns. So I expect Paul George to show out. He gets a bad rap. He's an exceptional basketball player, great two-way player, and I think Paul George is going to be that guy this season. I'm going to be looking forward to rostering him quite a bit early on before that price goes up. Andrew Wiggins, I still think his minutes might be a little limited. Conditioning issues. Had an excellent sequence in the final seconds of the game.
Bingo from 3. That was what a fun game. I mean, that was really. I mean, Golden State. Not to say a statement game, but I didn't think that 3.5 was enough of a spread. I thought the Lakers were maybe a little short there, and I'm not bullish on the Lakers by any means, but you don't see Klay Thompson out there. It seems like the same iteration, but getting ready, Kelly Oubre, letting Jordan Poole take over more of the offense and having Andrew Wiggins just kind of be a third option, not having to do too much. What a great debut by Golden State.
Oh, and I thought they're still going to find a way to maximize Otto Porter Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And Nemanja Bjelica just showed why he's an great basketball, great player. and the Kings just kind of ruined him. The Heat couldn't utilize him well, and
Neither could the Timberwolves. Hey,
I mean, they used him properly, and I really thought there was a big free agency drama when he chose to sign with Sacramento instead of Philadelphia. If you look into it, it's kind of interesting why that went down. And I really thought Philly could have used him before he went to Sacramento. But Bjelica is going to have some big games for this Golden State team before Wiseman comes back. And I kind of hope they play that small ball team with Bjelica playing that small ball 5. And not to say for him to be like Kevin Durant in the offense, but Bjelica is.
What are you doing? You should leave the podcast now. What did you just say?
Bjelica can be KD light on this team. And I'm just saying. Don't get me wrong. 16-17 Warriors, one of the best teams ever. But, Bjelica can
Ryan,
play
how are you top 10 at this in the world? What are you doing?
I'm just saying the system they run, he all he do is what he did against the Lakers. And if you
one game does not a Kevin Durant make.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm overreacting. I know it too.
Love it. All right, let's turn this into first take, and I'm just gonna freak out. All right, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Bjelica in the power forward spot, but a lot of guys we touched on who have multi-position eligibility here, but guys like Jimmy Butler, 9,100. Jimmy Butler just seems the type of guy just to coast in the regular season, and then they'll turn it on in the playoffs. He does not give a damn about the regular season type of guy. He just cares about his coffee. He's in Miami. I think he's just going to coast. So he doesn't really tend to show out in the regular season, it feels like. So that's how I feel about Jimmy Butler. I've always thought he was a little bit overrated just as a player.
Dude, this has been the worst 5 minutes of our lives right here. You and I are not seeing eye to eye on anything. I think Jimmy Butler's an absolute boss. Are you kidding me? How does that Miami team legitimately contend, period, in the bubble without Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, it was the bubble. It was meant for like a Miami team. Like they're like
you're calling it Mickey Mouse, the Mickey Mouse championship for LeBron James?
I didn't say anything about a Mickey Mouse championship.
Oh my God. Well, I'm just saying that Twitter said that quite a bit.
Well, fun fact about LeBron James, 2 of his rings were a shortened season. So
okay, well, we're going to continue on. Can we talk Jordan Nwora? Can we talk something that matters to this slate? Jordan Nwora,
going down to 4,300. Small forward, power forward.
Burn this video on YouTube as soon as we're done. We're going to post this for 24 hours.
I'm just saying facts.
Oh my God. This video will self-destruct in 48 hours. Go ahead.
Don't hate. I just don't think Jimmy Butler is as good as it tends for people to see. But Jordan Nwora at 4,300, he's too expensive right now. I think I'd rather play Danilo Gallinari at 4,400. I think people might overreact to Nora's game 1 performance. Keep in mind, it helped that no Drew Holiday. He might have got sprinkled on some minutes there because of the Drew Holiday second half absence. But Nora's still going to get some minutes. He's just got to be very efficient offensively. And how much he's going to contribute peripherally, we'll have to see. But he's a bucket. There's no denying that. And it's a short slate. That's all I have for Nora, really. Other guys who are kind of cheap on the cheaper end of this small forward position, I'd like to go back to Otto Porter again. I know he was very, very, very chalky on a 2-game slate. We might get him at he was like in the low 30s, high 30s on some FanDuel contests. We might get him at not even even a third of that tomorrow. And instead of Bjelica having that game, it could be Otto Porter tomorrow. And it's super early in the season. And we'll see how that goes.
Harrison Barnes has 40 points with 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and 40 fantasy points on FanDuel. Find that to be fascinating. Might have a sweat. That's also weird because I think I thought I removed him from my player pool, but apparently not. That's interesting. I missed us live reacting to stuff that's happening in this last game, even though people don't give a shit about it whatsoever. I think that's kind of it from small forward. Do you have anything else? I mean, Pat Connaughton, shooting guard, small forward. What do you think about him, considering he just went off? Maybe people try to force him too. But I have a weird feeling that because his price is 4,500 now on DK, more people still click on Nwora at 3,700.
Yeah, I think he'll still definitely have a lot of ownership for sure. But it's going to be an interesting decision point, and I don't think it's like that crazy at 3,700. But I'd rather just try to find like the Jordan Nora for tomorrow night. Like we had the Nora performance. Who's going to be the Nora tomorrow night? I don't think it'll be Nora. There's some other guys that we talked about. There's a whole nother game too. So yeah, I think it's just like me just trying to find someone else. Maybe that's being a little too cute, but sometimes being a little too cute can pay off.
All right. Well, this is going to be our longest podcast of the 3 we've done so far this season. We're 35 minutes on a 3-gamer. I hope you guys like listening to us talk. But you know what I really like? Making you money. And this is how we do it right here. New users, head over to Yahoo, get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you are a first-time depositor. You put $10 or more into your account over at Yahoo. You enter anything, the dollar, the 50 cent. They have so many different things that are, negative management fee type things where they are putting money into your pocket. That is overlay. That's what other sites call it. That's what, it is, but it's management fee over at Yahoo. And they're basically saying, we want you to come play here. We want you to see our product, and we're going to put money into your pocket in order to do it. And now you also get Awesemo Plus for 1 month completely free. Every single sport behind the paywall, including NFL, we have soccer projections. We have MLB projections still going for this ALCS and NLCS. Check out everything we have to offer behind the paywall. And then for NBA, the boom bust tool, I'm telling you, stuff like that is going to be what helps make you a profitable player long-term. So check it out. Stop guessing, start winning, join Awesemo Plus today. And thank you so much to Yahoo for their sponsorship of the Slate Starter podcast. All right. Look at that. What production value. To power forward we go. Top end, Giannis Antetokounmpo is there on DraftKings. So, he's there on FanDuel as well. I'm going to go to the power forward position on Yahoo. $52. Then there's a steep drop to Draymond Green. That was kind of an interesting thing because he ended up playing just short of 30 minutes, 29 minutes, 56 seconds to be exact. Not exactly ideal at $28 for him there, but then there is somebody that I could not wait to talk to you about, and that is $25, Kristaps Porzingis. This cat was a disaster. And when I say disaster, he was a disaster in the NBA playoffs. What do we do? How do we even comprehend what to do with this guy on this slate?
Yeah, I want to play him. I want to play Kristaps Porzingis just because.
I knew you were. I was setting it up. I knew this is going to be your dude today.
Yeah, I'm all about KP. People have soured on him. He is. I think there's a whole new offseason, new head coach, Jason Kidd. Not to say Jason Kidd's a new head, like a good head coach. He's not the greatest of guys either. So Jason Kidd, hopefully in his new coaching staff.
You're going after Jason Kidd on the podcast? That's great.
Don't get me wrong. I love Jason Kidd as a basketball player, but I've heard some things that makes him not the greatest of human beings. But,
Go ahead.
But J. Kidd, I think we'll try to maximize Kristaps Porzingis. And I think I think he's just a little too cheap for that upside because Porzingis still has this in his bag where he can put up 50 fantasy points. We just hadn't seen it in some time, but Porzingis should have those games because he needs to be that guy, like to really make Dallas contenders. And he can be, and hopefully they figure it out. And I just think I want to ride Kristaps Porzingis as that price gets more expensive. So I'm all about KP. They used to call him the unicorn, and it's been some time. I want to see that. I want people to start calling him the unicorn again. So I really like Kristaps Porzingis. I'm going to have a lot of him tomorrow. And if it burns me, so be it. But I think he's due, and he's having new coach, new offense to run through. So I really like Porzingis' price tag across the board. FanDuel $7,000. You're telling me that you would rather spend $6,400 on Collins than Porzingis? I think I'd rather take my chances on Porzingis. He's $100 cheaper than Draymond, potentially a limited Draymond. So we'll see how that goes. But other guys in the power forward spot, Bjelica is too expensive, $4,800. Maybe we see him actually play mid to high 20s minutes after that game one. If he does, he's a pretty solid play then. But if not, we're going to get burned. Other guys in the power forward spot that have a pretty solid price tag who potentially can show it. Gallinari, we said small forward, power forward eligible, 4,400. And I think Dwight Powell, I believe he'll be either starting center, 3,700. I know, look, the Dallas center has never been fun to roster over the years, but with MPE, it's a short slate, $3,700 against the Hawks, $3,700 Dwight Powell on FanDuel. I don't mind it. It's going to help us jam in some studs like Giannis, Paul George, and Luka. So it's that's you're going to have to save salary somewhere. Avoid them. The Sandra Mamu. I can't say the latter half of his first name. Avoid that trap this time around.
Mamuka Shalavili.
Yeah, I just can't.
I said that wrong.
Give me a day when the
Mamuka Lashvili. There we go. Mamuka Shalavili.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Mamu.
Mamu's better.
Yeah.
My guy. You've missed my favorite play at the entire position.
All right.
Can you name my favorite play at the position?
PJ Tucker.
No, I will literally not talk to you ever again. Marcus Morris Sr. How many minutes is this dude going to have to play for the Clippers this year?
Yeah, I do think Marcus Morris will be a solid option for sure, but I'm just a tad concerned. There was a report about his minutes. I just want to make sure.
I thought that they were limiting him. He didn't play the preseason. I know that. He didn't play a single preseason game. I mean, I played limited preseason slates, but obviously I wanted to be ready to go for this NBA season, and plus I love it. But Marcus Morris Sr. played a zillion minutes in the playoffs. It was him and Reggie Jackson that had to carry a lot of the load with Kawhi Leonard out. We didn't know. It was this back and forth of, is Kawhi Leonard going to come back or not, and whatever else. And Marcus Morris showed out quite a bit. And I think that Marcus Morris is still a guy that I believe in. And I think he probably hits the ground running. I think he plays a lot of minutes for this team. Plus, on Yahoo, he's $15. I think people would rather play Porzingis or Collins 21 and 25. I definitely know people would rather play Bielitsa coming off of a big game. I think Otto Porter Jr. and Justice Winslow are interesting at $10 each there. But for me, looking at the position on Yahoo, I love $15 from Marcus Morris there. I love $5,400 in kind of a no man's land on FanDuel. And I really love $5,100. He's $200 less than Dorian Finney-Smith. He's $500 more than Bielitsa. I don't know what that ownership's going to look like, but I think I'm willing to find out.
Yeah, I don't think he's that bad of a play. There was a report, I believe Ty Lue did mention about this team not playing in like 10 days, about their conditioning and like how they didn't play that much in the preseason. So I just keep an eye on some pregame notes with this Clippers team. But yeah, Morris, obviously, he's going to take a bunch of shots. I also think he's a very overrated basketball player, but that's just my consideration.
You are literally the worst today. I love you so much, and it's actually really entertaining to me. But wow, Marcus Morris does not suck. You might not like him as a person, but I love him.
You know who sucks in terms of fantasy is probably PJ Tucker.
Yeah, he does.
And he's going to have some ownership.
He's going to play 40 minutes, right?
Oh, geez. Yeah, for this Miami team. And look, Milwaukee eviscerated this Heat team in the first round last year. And I think it's going to happen yet again tomorrow night. I don't know what the spread is, but I like my Bucks tomorrow. So I think Giannis is going to just eat. 11-3. He can put up 80 fantasy points in 3 quarters. No questions asked. So if you like Giannis as your pay up over Luka, I'm with you. I think I'd rather spend up for Giannis instead of Luka, but 10-3 on DraftKings. Yeah, seems like kind of a discount for Giannis against I think he's just going to dominate. I think he just wants to get another league MVP and another championship. So Greek freak galore. Yeah, Giannis is probably my favorite power forward, and that's not a hot take, but spending down, Scott Anderson got a lot of minutes. Not in terms of more minutes, not a lot of minutes, more minutes than I expected him to get. 3,300. He's going to have some ownership. I don't know really what to do with that. I'd probably come under the field on a guy like him, rather take my chances at Justice Winslow, $100 more than that. But yeah, power forward's an interesting slate. Giannis, Porzingis, some cheap guys like Bielitsa and Nora, who were great in game one. We'll see what the ownership comes out and be able to make those decision points. And check out promo code Curry while you're at it.
Toscano Anderson is going to have 0 ownership. He played 12 minutes.
I think he did really well in those 12 minutes, though, right?
He had 10 fantasy points on Yahoo.
You know why I thought that? Because he was pretty good for the showdown slate.
He was good for the showdown.
Yeah.
I love you so much. Yeah, check out promotion Curry we have going. That's $14.95 for the month. That's half off of your first month. First month, correct? I'm right about that.
First week.
First week. First week. See, this is why you're here, and I'm just, doing what I'm doing. $14.95. If you want to see what's behind the paywall, and if you want to check out the Boom Bust tool, under $15, I mean, that's less than, if you want to play $20 three max stuff, for the fast break, believe is what it's called on DK all the time. And you're going to have an opportunity to really have the right tools to help you attack tournaments like that, like these large field MME stuff that Ryan and I are playing every single day. If you want to play some of the single entry stuff, I'm telling you, you have every type of player, cash games as well. The Boom Bust tool comes in handy for everything. So check out promotion code. You go to checkout, use promotion code Curry, and you're all ready to rock. That's all you have to put in at the checkout if you want to check it out for a week. So let's get ourselves to center. Let's round this puppy out. Oh my God, we are at 45 minutes. This is absurd. Look at that maniacal laugh you have going. Giannis there, 10-3. Let's talk about a real center here. Bam Adebayo, 7,600. Clint Capela, 7,200 is a really low number to be seeing for Clint Capela, a guy who was up around 9K, 10K repeatedly last season. I mean, he was putting up like 2020s and he had a ridiculous streak there. But John Collins is there. They're going to probably be going smaller and smaller. Gorgie Jang is there. I don't know what those minutes are going to look like for him in like a backup center role. Jahlil Okafor, I doubt sees much of the floor here for Atlanta. And then, of course, we got to talk about Dallas because they have 48 centers that play for the Dallas Mavericks now. Just talk to me about this entire position.
Yeah, so one guy that definitely stands out to me is Ivica Zubac, your boy, $4,200 on FanDuel.
My hero, 100K hero.
I love Zubac tomorrow, $4,200, and I think also 5K on DraftKings, definitely not ruled out. Yeah, Dallas has a ton of guys to look at. The Clippers have Zubac. His backup is Isaiah Hartenstein. I think he should be in the rotation. They chose to keep him on the roster over Harry Giles. So Hartenstein's $3,100, an exceptional fantasy producer when on the court. Other guys who have center eligibility that you talked about, Bam Adebayo against this Milwaukee team. I just don't know how I feel about that. 7,600 over there, center only on DraftKings. I'd rather spend 7,000. I'd rather spend. I misplaced it. Okay. Yeah, I'd rather spend 7,200 for Clint Capela than $7,600 Bam Adebayo over there on DraftKings. While other guys, Maxi Kleber is fine. He's not that exciting in my opinion.
Who do you think this starting five is for Dallas?
I think Dwight Powell is their starting center.
I think he is too. He's the cheapest out of everybody there.
Mm-hmm.
You have no interest, do you?
I will have some interest. It's a 3-game slate, and there's Giannis to pay up for, and we got to find some value to fit him in. So I'll have minimal amount of interest. It's going to come down to the ownership. If he's super chalky, I'd rather find to save down elsewhere or take some chances on guys like Kleber maybe off the bench. But it's going to come down to the ownership. If he's going to come in low on, I'm going to be well over a guy like Dwight Powell. So Brook Lopez, always going to be, I feel like, low owned. Kevon Looney, we don't know if he's going to close. He just racks up rebounds and maybe gets a few putbacks there. So it was really interesting. The opening 2 points on both teams were DeAndre Jordan and Kevon Looney on opening night. So if you had those guys as your first basket scorers, you probably made a lot of money. But outside of that, I don't think they ever scored after that. So
no, they did not.
But that's the center spot. Really kind of dry, not that exciting. Zubac is very exciting on FanDuel and on DraftKings, but he's going to be very popular as well. So it'll be interesting to see how we can pivot off Zubac and Capela off that ownership. Those guys definitely are going to be very popular on respectively both sides, I think, and rightfully so. Their price tag really works out. But look, it's not that I don't think it's just that I just don't think Adebayo can have an explosion game against this Milwaukee team. He's going to be very low owned. So how do you feel about Bam Adebayo versus Collins? I prefer Collins to Adebayo, but how do you feel?
I prefer Bam Adebayo by a lot. We probably feel differently about this. I'm a Bam Adebayo truther. I think also, I don't know, Kyle Lowry being there, maybe there's some usage taken away there, but Bam Adebayo, I mean, it's a double-double kind of situation with him. You're looking for him to put up a lot of points and a lot of rebounds, and that's kind of the way that it is for a lot of these centers. But he's always been a center that also could kind of stay out of foul trouble. He never really got himself in a lot of foul trouble at any point in his career. I feel like I've never been burned by him, so feels like a high floor option and somebody that I think carries more of a ceiling than what you think at 7,600. I mean, we've seen him 8K plus. A lot of that was when Jimmy Butler was out there for some random durations of time in his Miami tenure, but adding Kyle Lowry as another guy there. I mean, Goran Dragic was pretty ball dominant as well, so I'm not too concerned about paying for him. Plus John Collins. I mean, there are so many question marks I have about this Atlanta team and how it's all going to pan out. Trae Young obviously gets a ton of work there. Clint Capela takes a lot of rebounds away. Delon Wright is going to be another ball-dominant player there. Kevin Hoarder, Bogdanovich, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, who you love too. There's a lot of other cats in Atlanta. Miami, I think it's a little bit thinner.
Yeah, you do bring up a good point. Maybe that has changed my opinion on Bam heading into tomorrow. But if he's going to be very low owned, it's not going to take much to get over the field. So, look, we just spent 15 minutes talking about a 3-game slate. You're going to have at least 5 more hours of content from us the rest of the day. So make sure to check that out. And Eric, any final thoughts on the slate?
Oh my God, you've role reversed. Center spot. If Boban Marjanovic is starting, play him. How about that? If he's starting, play him because he's a ridiculous fantasy point per minute guy.
I agree. If he does start, I don't expect him to start, but
I don't either. But I'm just saying that's just always the last thing to throw out there for everybody. Ryan, I get to ask you any final words for the people.
So 3 games tomorrow. I think the Mavs will win, the Bucks will win, and the Warriors will win. So those are my 3
parlay.
Yeah, I think I might. Yeah.
Do it. Michigan, legal sports betting. Everybody check out Odd Sharper as well. If you want to shop for the best lines, that's going to be the place to do it. Find those 3 teams together. Ryan, fantastic job, my guy. We've got one more slate starter here for the week. We're going to come at you tomorrow night covering the Friday games. Then we'll catch you back again Sunday night coming into Monday's slate. He's Ryan. He's one of the top players in the world. I'm Eric. I'm one of the top players in Toluca Lake. We'll catch you later.